we'll start today. Last class, we talked about Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi Ji's life. Today, we're going to start by learning an invocation shloka on Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi Ji, which we will chant in our classes. So I'll share my screen and then you can follow me. Then we'll go through the meaning. Sapna, I'm going to make you co-host if that's okay. I'll share my screen. Antaryascha bahirvidhutatimiram Jyotirmayam shashvatam Sthanam prapya virajate vinamatam Ajnanamunmulayan Pashyan vishwamapi damullasatiyo Vishvasya pare paraha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Loka Gurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha. We'll chant it together. Antaryascha bahirvidutatimiram Jyotirmayam shashvatam Sthanam prapya virajate vinamatam Ajnanamunmulayan Pashyan vishwamapi damullasatiyo Vishvasya pare paraha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Loka Gurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha. Shokasya Hantre Namaha. So here we are invoking the grace and blessings of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi Ji as we embark on Upadesha Sara. So Tasmai, to that Sri Ramanaya, to that Sri Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi, Namaha, our salutations. And who is he? Loka Gurave. He is the Loka Guru. He is the Guru of the world. And Shokasya Hantre. He is the destroyer of sorrow. And what else? Antar Yascha Bahir. Antar, from within. Bahihi, from without. Vidhuta Timiram. He removes Vidhuta Timiram. He removes this darkness. And who is he? Sthanam Prapya. On the second line, Sthanam Prapya, having obtained this state, which is Jyotirmaya, full of light, Shashvatam, which is eternal. Vinamatam, to those who are devoted to him, Ajnanam Unmulayat. He uproots this ignorance. So he is one who, from within and from without, he removes this darkness which is ignorance, having obtained this state which is full of light, which is eternal. He shines, virajate, and to his devotees, he removes this ignorance. Pashyan Vishwam. He's seeing the world, Pashyam Vishwam. Api, even if he sees this world, idam, this world, ulasati, and he also sports in this world, but yaha vishvasya pare paraha, he's beyond this world. So even if he sees this world, he sports in this world, he's beyond this world. To that, Sri Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi Ji, we salute him. We do our salutations. So this is our invocation that we will have for this text, so that we can also let his grace flow through us. Okay? So as I mentioned last week, we spoke about the story of Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi Ji, which is very, very profound and deep about how he got to know the self, how he realized the self. Today, we're going to go into how this text, Upadesha Sara, how this text came to be. So it is said, his devotees, one of his devotees, Murugnar was there, and he was writing something on Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi Ji. He was writing this text on him. And in this text, he wanted to include the different leelas of Bhagavan Shiva. From the different Puranas, he wanted to include the leelas. And there was one such leela which took place in the Daruka Vana forest. And the leela goes like this, that there were these Mimamsakas, Purva Mimamsakas, or what we call Karma Mimamsakas, were very, very established in karma, who believed that karma or action alone is the supreme thing. And so they were in this forest, and they would spend their time in these yagas. They would conduct all of these yagas, spend their time in these yagas, and the whole day they would do this. And these yagas would take a lot of preparation. There's a lot of order on how you should do things, how much should be served. So many things goes into a yaga. Meanwhile, their wives would prepare all of the materials. And they would do these yagas to attain siddhis, to attain, wealth, to attain things. And finally, they wanted to do yaga also to attain swarga. So their nishta, or their, firm abidance, was in doing these yagas. So Lord Shiva was watching them and said, it's very good in the sense that they're disciplined, in the sense that they are doing something, they are committed to something, and in the sense that they want something better for their lives. But this is not the end all be all. It's not just all about action. And through action, you can't just get that which is the most supreme. So Lord Shiva said, let's do this Leela. So of course, he calls his friend Bhagavan Vishnu. And together they do the Leela. So Bhagavan Vishnu takes Mohini avatar. And Bhagavan Shiva takes the avatara of a mendicant or of a beggar. But Bhagavan Shiva very handsomely dresses as a beggar. And Mohini avatara, very beautiful. So first Bhagavan Vishnu went to all of these Purva Mimamsakas who were doing the yagas. Now they were there, and this Mohini avatara came, and they took one look at that Mohini avatara and done. Means she didn't even have to speak. She didn't even have to do anything. She was just so beautiful. And just one look at her. First one looked at her, then somebody else looked at her, then someone else looked at her. And all of a sudden, everyone looked at her, and they ended up following her. And they dropped their yaga. So, gone case. Now what happened to the wives? Lord Shiva, he dressed as this very handsome beggar. So he begged at one house for food, and somebody gave him food, and they were just like speechless. They were like, what else do you want? Let me give you anything, because he was so handsome. And so all the ladies saw this beggar, and they all came out. They wanted to give him everything that they had. And so this Lord Shiva also was nicely entertaining them. Nicely, he was enjoying the presence of all of them. So they were all happy. Now, meanwhile, with all of these men who were performing the yagas, they followed that Mohini avatar. They followed her and she disappeared. She just disappeared. And they got so angry. They got so angry that, look at this. How can this happen? So they went to go to their wives because their yaga is already done. Once you stop a yaga, that's it. They have very, very strict rules. So the yaga is done. So what happens is they go to their wives and they see their wives are gone. They go to their homes, their wives are not there, and they go find out where the wives are, and they see their wives are surrounding this handsome beggar. And they're trying to see, what is this? They are so angry. And so they try to invoke all of these weapons that they have. They try to invoke like an elephant and a tiger and fire, all of these different things. But this beggar nicely takes the elephant and wears it, takes the tiger, wears it, takes the fire, holds it. This beggar is just, very divine, very different and unexpected. And they said, whatever we're doing, it's not working. And we surrender to you. Whoever you are, we surrender to you. And so Lord Shiva said, he revealed his true identity. And he said, there's something that you need to know. There is more than karma. And this is the teaching that I will give all of you today. And that teaching was given. Now, in the Puranas, whichever Purana this Murugnar looked at, it just said that teaching was given. It didn't say what that teaching was. So this Murugnar wanted to write his work, and he said, I'm writing this story, but I'm missing the teaching. And that's the most important part. That's the most important crux. Where do I get this teaching from? So he felt that he was not the person to write that teaching. So he was a devotee of Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi. He said, Bhagavan, will you please write this teaching? Write the teaching that Lord Shiva gave to these Purva Mimamsakas. Write the teaching that he gave to them. So Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi wrote this teaching, and at first it was written in Tamil, then later translated into Telugu and Malayalam. Then he also translated himself into Sanskrit. And this teaching is called Upadesha Sara. So this is how this teaching comes about. Upadesha means teaching. Sara means the essence. So the essence of the teaching, or sometimes we say essential teaching, that Lord Shiva gave to them. So this is what we are studying in this text. Now, when we think at the Purva Mimamsakas or the Karma Mimamsakas, we might think that, how can they think karma is there and all they believe is karma and that's all their lives are about? But please think, to come to that level also takes maturity. Where do all of us start from? We all start from a place called Paristhiti Vada. We are first believers of Paristhiti. Paristhiti means a condition or a state. When we come into life, our first belief is that everything is dependent on the time, on the place, on the surroundings. So my comfort, my happiness is dependent on the surroundings, the people around me, what people do, what the time is, what the space is, what the environment is. This is what it depends on. This is the firm belief of someone in Paristhiti Vada. So then what happens is their whole effort goes in changing the outer circumstance. It goes on in trying to change somebody, trying to change the time, trying to change something. Their whole effort goes into that and that alone. So their time is in that. And they derive happiness when the outside circumstances fit their needs. Whenever the outside circumstances fit their needs, they're very happy. And when it doesn't fit their needs, they're very sad. Now, this is where we all start. And please think, some of us are still there. Some of us are still in Paristhiti Vada, thinking that other things, if we fix, we will be okay. Little bit more mature than that is this Karma Vada. Why? Because they believe that happiness comes from karma. They believe, number one, that every single action will yield a result. Every action will yield a result. Number two, if you do good actions, you will get good results. If you do bad actions, you will get bad results. And number three, everything is a result of my actions. So now you see there's a little bit more maturity in their thinking, because they're saying whatever comes, it's because of my action. So there is no blaming other people and saying it's your fault. It's because the time is not right. It's because the place is like this. It's because you're like this. There's no blaming other people. They're very aware that whatever I'm getting is my karma and my karma alone. So where is their effort or their prayatna? Their prayatna is in doing good karma. So they spend their whole lives doing good karma because they want the good results. So even if we say, oh, look at these karma vadins, or look at this purva mimamsakas, that's also a very mature way of thinking. But still, little bit, their thinking had to go higher. So although these purva mimamsakas were there, notice that they still had some kind of impurities in their mind. How so? When Mohini avatar came, they got tempted immediately. So they can be very strict. They can be very, very regular in their sadhana and everything. But one thing comes and they're right away tempted. That anger was still there. When that Mohini avatar left and disappeared, that anger was still there. Who is that? How can somebody destroy our yaga? Still there. That pride was still there. That somebody is there with our wives and we want to destroy him, and who does he think he is, and we have so much more. These impurities were still there. So because these impurities were still there, and because their thinking required a little bit more maturity, Lord Shiva came to guide them to the right direction. And how Lord Shiva guides them is through this beautiful first verse. So this text has 30 verses. And this text is very popular, So there's a particular tune which we sing. And these 30 verses also, if you look at your book, they're broken down into the 4 yogas. So you will see Karma Yoga is verses 1 to 3. Bhakti Yoga is 4 to 10. Ashtanga Yoga is 11 to 16. And Jnana Yoga is 17 to 30. So this book is divided into 4 portions. So now let us see the first verse. Okay? So I will chant and then you repeat after me. Everyone has the book? Yes. Okay. If you don't have the book, it's easy enough to follow. Just listen. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam. Karma kim param karma tajjadam. Together. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam. Karma kim param karma tajjadam. Okay. So the first verse says, we go to the second line. Karma kim param. Karma here means action. Kim param, how is action supreme? Karma tad jadam, that karma is inert. Therefore, kartuhu, the first line, kartuhu agnyaya, by the command, agnyaya, by the command of kartuhu, the doer, prapyate phalam, one receives the result. So this question comes to us that if we do an action and we get the result of the action, then what's the role of God? Right? You do an action, you do something good, you get a good result. You do something bad, you get a bad result. So what's the role of God? Why is there a need of God in this whole picture? So to answer that question, the first verse comes. And it says, look, let's first look at this word karma, action. Now, how is an action performed? Okay, every action has three necessary parts. The first part is called the karta or the doer. The second part is called karana or instrument. The third part is called the karma or the kriya, the action itself. So every action has these three parts, consists of three parts. Now, let's take the karta, the doer. Can the doer do the action without any instrument? Let's say if you want to read something, if you want to write something, can the doer do it without any instrument? No, right? You need an instrument. Can the karana, can the instrument be on its own? Can the pen write on its own? Can the computer type on its own? Can the phone answer itself? We wish it could, but it can't, right? Karma, can the action come about without the doer and the instrument? Can seeing just happen? Can, watching just happen? Can walking just happen without any instrument? No, right? Imagine if walking could just happen. I guess some ghosts would be walking. So all of these things are interdependent on each other. So when we say karma is not supreme, it means none of these things are independent. This whole karma is not independent. They're all interdependent. So how can it be supreme? Okay, so the first, when we think of supreme, first thing, it has to be independent. Okay, second, when we do action, it is not supreme because it starts at a certain point in time and then it ends at a certain point in time. It's not infinite. It's not supreme because you start reading and then you stop reading. You start cooking and then you stop cooking. So it starts and then it stops. Third is this karma. How can it be supreme? Because it doesn't give me contentment. It will give me some contentment, but after I do that action, again I'm empty and I want to do another action. Again I'm empty and I want to do another action. Again I'm empty and I want to do an action. So this karma is not supreme. It's not supreme because it depends on so many other factors. It's not supreme because it's limited in a certain time. It's not supreme because it doesn't give me full contentment. And what else? He says, it's not supreme because it's jada. It's inert. It's inert. It cannot, you need a sentient being to actually make something happen. So for all these reasons, karma isn't supreme. So why are you going after it?